Hello, folks. Thanks for showing up. Sorry, I'm half a minute late. Odd things happen on my computer sometimes. I'm glad you guys showed up. Thank you very much for being here. Did all of you have a good week and weekend?
Hello, yeah.
Nobody got
I
sick or
just got
anything?
yeah, I just got a little bit sick.
Mine was boring. I had to study for a art history test, so that's what I did.
Oh, that doesn't sound boring at all. That sounds like loads and loads of fun.
Yes,
I
tons of fun.
mean, that sounds like so much fun. I bet Jassiel would be happy to change places with you so you could be sick
Oh
instead of
yes.
having to study. No,
No,
I just
yeah, sorry. I went to a convention on Friday, so I think that's where I got sick, and I've just been sick all weekend.
was that the Fan X one?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, those things they are as bad as Sunday school nursery or preschool classroom. Holy cow. I'm glad you didn't get worse. How about
Yeah,
you,
me
Kim?
too.
How was I'm sorry, Jassy, what?
Oh yeah, I'm glad I didn't get worse either.
Yeah, good. How about you, Kim? What did you do over the last week or weekend?
Um, we've just had just a lot going on. So we got to go to FanX a little bit. We had tickets for like 3 days and we went like one day. And then we've had people get sick. We've just had a lot of issues this whole past week, but it's starting to wind down now. So that's good.
Well, that's good. That's good. Yeah, my kids, when they get a chance to, love going to the Fan X. It is amazing to me how creative people get with their cosplay costumes. I really like seeing that. Unless the people think too highly of themselves, then it makes me supremely uncomfortable. One of my kids is an actor, and when they have people at some of the conventions are paid to dress in cosplay and go around, and they say makes them really super uncomfortable. So I hope none of you guys had any of those experiences.
One of my favorite cosplays I saw there, someone was dressed like Rick Moranis from Honey, I
Oh
Shrunk
yeah,
the Kids. So he had made one of those helmets where he's got the bicycle handles and the magnifying glass, like he's looking through the backyard. It was so funny.
that's awesome. Well, I'm glad you guys all survived, and I hope, Rachel, that you do supremely well on your test. I um I went through everything that has been turned in so far is graded, and before we launch into stuff this week, I wanted to talk about that a little bit and then look at the wire stuff. And I would like, I don't think all three of you need to talk about each of the wire stuff. If you would like to, that's great. But I would like everybody to have a chance to apply a bit of the tools of artistic critique as we look at those things. And I am really amazed with what people have done. There's been a couple things that people have turned in, and we've looked at it, and I made some comments about what needs to be changed, and people have got turned around and made the changes. And I really appreciate when you guys are so responsive. I've seen that especially with like annotated bibliographies and the artist reviews. People have made those changes really quick. I think one of the fastest ones was making a revision in like 6 minutes and turning it back in. So you guys are doing a great job. And remember, when you submit something, even if you know that it's not quite where you want it to be, if you submit it on time, you don't lose any points. You can resubmit and make the changes until you get the full points. Um, There was something else too. Oh, and I can't remember. I guess we'll get to it when we get to it. But I did want it to look through uh, some of the annotated bibliographies and talk about those maybe a little bit too. But I definitely want to talk about what the next step for the research stuff is and for the um, paper, the structure and skin thing, and just go over that assignment a little bit. Some people are working on that already, which is great to see. And oh, one thing I did want to mention is each of the assignments for the modules, I do talk a little bit about how much the time should take. And what I'm noticing is almost everybody is like right around a little bit over, a little bit under that average. And that is kind of an average. But I've noticed that there are a couple of people that are coming in way under the average. And if it's an hour or so under, that's not that big of a deal. But if it is like half what the class average is for these modules, I've designed them so that they should, each of the modules, each of the project modules should take you about 10 to 12 hours. And everybody's been doing that. If you're one of the few people that come in like half of that, please re-examine what you're doing because there is a direct correlation to the grade that you get and the time that you spend. And if you don't spend a lot of time on the stuff in the class, of course, that's up to you, but that also kind of defeats one of the big purposes for the class, which is training those neurons to think in a three-dimensional real world space. So that's something that I wanted to address and we'll go on. What I also noticed is you can tell right away when people turn in a project that they have spent that time on, you can tell immediately. So, be thinking about that. I would also recommend if you are going back and resubmitting stuff, feel free to go back and you don't have to, but resubmit on the work log. If you have already put in the work log for so many hours and you go back and you spend a couple more hours on something, go ahead and put that in the work log too if you want to. You don't have to, you've already gotten credit for the work log, but stuff like that helps me to make adjustments for future courses on making sure that I'm not sapping all your time, but we are uh, making the modules so that the time spent is appropriate for the class. So that's something that I needed to say, and we are done with that now. All right. So what I'm going to do is I can only share like one image at a time. And so I'm going to pull the image up, do the screen share with it, and we'll talk about it. And then I'll figure out how to do that with the next image. Okay. You guys ready?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, but before we do that, any question? Any questions for what I was just saying about assignments and things like that?
No.
Okay. All right. So we've got this. Can everybody see this?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. A couple things that I really like about this is this person used two different kinds of wire, and I like that. And I like how they use the wire differently to make different forms. Like for the body of the fish, you get this kind of long structure, and then you can see that the thinner wires are giving some of that structural component and a little bit of visual interest for fins and things like that. And then one thing I really like too is coils for the eyes, and then these jaggedy lines on areas of the fish body and some of the fins. And I think all that is really, I like seeing that because when you do stuff like that, it makes it a lot more entertaining and interesting for the viewer. There's a phrase that one of my early mentors used that he called, and the phrase was rewarding the patient observer. And I think that this does that, because you can see a lot of these different um, textural elements. You know, the wire, you expect the wire to do certain things, and it does, and then it kind of surprises you a little bit, but it just makes it interesting. Like this area right here, using the thin wire to coil around and give texture on part of the fin. I that's a lot of fun. Making a smooth line here and then adding texture to it right here. I think that's kind of fun too. You know, they could have just left the eyes as separate coils, but they used a thinner piece of wire to kind of connect the two across there. Stuff like that I think is just enjoyable to see. All right. Who would like to make a comment on this one? Or would all three of you like to?
Yeah, I'll say something about it.
Okay. Rachel.
I've been watching as these all come in, and I thought this fish was really cool. It's like I do like the long body as well, and the way the fins, it looks like it's kind of like a flowing fish. And I also noticed the thin wire. I wanted to do like a thin wire on mine for the wings, and my husband's like, "Oh, I'll get you that at Home Depot." And he came home with the same size wire that I already had, so ended up not doing that. But yeah, I liked that thin wire detail on it as well.
Well, and if anybody, like most everybody got a pretty good grade on this. I think just about everybody did. If you want to add a little bit to it, you know, go to Dollar Tree or something, and they have go to the craft area, and they have beading wire. You know, for $1.25, you can get like a selection of 4 colors. That'd be fun to add too. But yeah,
Okay,
that's
I will do that because I'm keeping it. So it didn't turn out how I wanted it. But yeah, I will do that.
yeah, and that'd be really cool. I think one of the most interesting ones that I've seen was somebody had just a whole bunch of wire that was in like a grandpa's tool case or something, and they just used it all. And they had silver and gold wire, they had crafting wire, they had all sorts of stuff, and that was a lot of fun to see. So yeah, if you want to add to it, go for it. That'd be a lot of fun. Now, UVU does have a student-focused magazine for art and writing, and you can contact the arts office. I think they're still taking submissions, but that'd be kind of fun just to look into. See, it, gussy yours up a little bit, take a really nice picture of it, and see if you can get it into the magazine. I think that'd be kind of fun. And I like how creative people are with the photos that they're taking too. Now, I would like in future photos, if we can get rid of this line, horizontal line, but I think that this is not a bad photo at all. The problem when the line is really an issue in a photo is if it's like a dark wood baseboard or the edge of a dark table, and then you have a white wall behind it. That's when it becomes really problematic. And if you can look our first week for the attendance, I just did a little short video where I showed you how I made my own infinity screen for a photo. And you can do that, or if you have access to campus in the sculpture lab, if you go in that main door and turn right, follow the counter along, that door there is in the or for the photo studio. And you can go there, turn on the overhead light, and use the infinity screen there to take your pictures too, if you want to do that. So definitely something to think about. Yeah, but good comment. It'll be really neat to be able to see uh, what you do with the additional wire if you do get that. I am trying to get, let's see, okay, there we go. All right. And I'm pretty sure this is one that we saw last week as well. Okay. All right, we did look at this one last week, right? I'm pretty sure we did. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
this is the one that I said for a flower, it actually is successful. And I the reasons are or include that this person did not make a pressed flower. They didn't make a flat flower. And I love the fact that the petals go everywhere on the petal ball up here, and then the stem is so much more than just a single strand of wire. For a flower, I think that this turned out really successfully. Again, for future photos, it'd be really nice to kind of smooth this out so we have more of an infinity screen instead of a dark line there. But I think this overall is successful. Who would like to talk about this one?
I can.
Okay, please.
So I really like this flower. I keep like looking in the middle of the flower and kind of like spiraling out and then like following the stem down and like to the
You're talking about this
petals.
part here?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like
Yeah, and
I
then
keep
going down?
looking. Yeah. It's like it has like a nice flow toward throughout all of that the which is sorry. I'm like trying to get all my words out, but I think it has a nice flow throughout the whole um composition, and um as the flower does, it's like very organic, and I think they successfully captured what a flower is through wire, which I think was really cool.
Yeah, and I think they did a great job putting a lot of energy into the wire. That's really fun to see too, because it feels like one of these 3D scribbles that we talked about. Yeah, excellent. All right, and here's the next one. I hope you guys can see this. This is looking like it's like a butterfly, something like that. And I really like this. I like how the different elements look different. I think that this could really be very cool if they got some of that beading wire and put it on the wings, lacing that back and forth, and did something more
That's
with the body right here. What's that?
this is mine. So can I just say that that's was my plan was the wings.
Okay,
I
okay.
was gonna put thin wire and make it look all of like the veins in the and then
Oh, yeah, do that. Do that and resubmit it.
okay, I will
That'd
do
be
that.
awesome. Yes, very good. Yeah, because I like how this starts, but it just feels like it needs to be a little bit more. And I think what you've just talked about is exactly what it needs. I think that'll look fantastic. All right, excellent. Now, Kim, do you want to talk about this one at all?
Sure. I really like it. I think it looks really clean. Like it doesn't look like she struggled a lot with the like bending the wire. It looks like she did a really good job with the tools. And it just looks really clean and like neat, you know?
Yeah.
I like how it turned out.
Yeah, it's fun. Sometimes I like not being able to tell what something is right away, and sometimes it's fun where you feel like you're working with the artist that you can tell what it is immediately. And that's one of those where it feels like I succeeded, in that I know what it is. But yeah, I like the cleanliness too. Now this one, I saw this and I just thought it was so much fun. This makes me think of um, the island of unwanted toys in that old Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer movie. Do you guys remember that? The clay animation, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer?
Yeah.
Yes, I love that show.
And this just makes me think of that island of toys. But it's obvious. This is another one where I'm so glad I know what it is. But what makes it fun to me is first it can stand by itself. And the person who took the photo, this is an excellent photo, by the way. I love the fact that you get the shadow around the feet, and the shadow is so entertaining too, just like the rest of the piece. I love how they made the antlers. I love how they made the face, and this kind of thing is really cool to see. Where it's not completely even, but it does give you that scribble body feel to it, and I think that worked out. Who would like to talk about this one?
I'll talk about this one.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I like this one. I like the scribbly feel, and you can also see like the muscles and like the back legs, like kind of like the anatomy of it. And I like how like the head is turned back and the legs are like the back legs are turned up a little bit, almost like it was spooked like from behind or something. Like that was the vibe I
Uh-huh.
got from it. And yeah, I just like how it wasn't just like a straight on like deer or elk or whatever it is. But its head's turned back. It's like there's like a movement to it.
Yeah, and I love that too. And one of the things that I see like in the head area, it reminds me of Alexander Calder. When he did those series of portraits, it has that kind of same lighthearted scribble feel. But I agree with you. I really like how it feels like it's caught in just an instant of movement. And that turned out really well. It's a great observations. Now, this one, usually I like having the background smooth, but with this being what it is, I kind of like how they the wrinkles in the fabric kind of add to it. This is like a fish that I don't want to accidentally stumble on. The only thing that I would say about the photo on this one is I would just make it a little bit smaller to get this black dot out. Other than that, I think this photo turns out really well. Some of the things I really like about this is, when you're drawing something and you're feeling it out, you go back and forth over line to kind of get that feel, and then you'll do scribbles in some areas to get kind of a texture going. And that's what this person has done. Like you have two or three tails right here, and you have these kinds of four of these kinds of fins and stuff like that. And I can tell that it's coming out to give it a little bit of a body and something to lean on, but it is kind of fun to me as a viewer to see a little bit of the thinking process behind the drawing. And I think that this turned out really well. And I love the fact that not everything is um, easily understood as a straightforward three-dimensional object. Like this fin feels like it should be in front and it's in the back. And I want to see where the other eye is, but I don't. There's two eyes right there. The jaw is kind of three-dimensional. And do you know what I mean? It looks like some things are on one side of the object, some things are on the other side of the object, and it looks like they kind of belong on both in some instances. And I love that kind of uh, unexpectedness to it. It feels, even though I know that this took several hours, it feels kind of spontaneous. It really captures that scribble sense. So who wants to talk about this one?
I can talk
You
about
can.
it.
Oh,
Oh, if you want. Okay. Whatever's fine.
we can both go, but I guess I can go. Um,
Okay.
I I really like how scribbly it is because it just gives so much energy to it because it feels like it's about to bite you. Like you want to be scared of it. So it's like um all the lines and all the wire just going throughout all of it just makes it so much more energetic. Yeah, that's all I
Yeah,
wanted to say.
good. Okay, great. Excellent. Good observation. How about you, Kim?
I was just gonna say I liked that it looks like the top of the fish has just a subtle stripy pattern. And also I
Oh,
like
right here?
that there's yeah, and I also like that on the tail's done over like, 3 or 4 times and it kind of gives a feeling like it's moving, like movement lines. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. You're right. And both Jassiel and Kim, what you're saying made me think of something. Both, and I want to see if I can find this really quick. Okay. There is a painting. Italian Futurism is an art movement that I don't really care for that much because their manifesto is all about killing everybody that didn't see the world their way. And of course, Italian futurism died pretty quick after World War I because everybody that was practicing it got killed in World War I. But I want to share this painting with you. This is one of the few paintings from that art movement that I really like. And this is what that fish kind of makes me think of. This is called dynamism of a dog on a leash. And you can see, the tail's wagging furiously. The person is walking really quick to keep up. The leash is whipping back and forth. And I love just seeing that dynamic energy. And I think it is really kind of fun. I know my brain works in a weird way, but can you kind of see what I'm seeing in this fish and why we connect it with that painting?
Yeah, I
Yes.
can see that.
Yeah.
Okay. And the fish arguably is not as cute and fluffy as that cute little puppy. It does the same thing in kind of a holy crap, I can't believe that's a real fish kind of way. So I think it turned out really well. Now this one, it took me a little bit. What I love about this one is the person who did it. I'm trying to shrink this down a little bit so I can get the whole thing in. Oh well. The person who did this started off with a scribble drawing of an event, and the sculpture, I think, went way beyond the event, and it became its own thing. And I love this photo. I really like because, again, all the shadows of the wires and stuff. Let's see if I can make the screen a little bit bigger. And from this angle, you can't really tell what it is. But then we go to this angle, then it becomes obvious what it is. And it's fun for me because once I know what it is, it's kind of engaging and entertaining to see that it's all just one single strand of wire where they've done all this stuff with it. Can everybody see what this is?
Yeah.
Is it like a teapot pouring into a cup? Is that what it is?
Yeah, exactly. It's a teapot pouring into a cup, and the coffee or tea has spilled out. And we've got the start of the wire is right here. The end looks like right here. And even though I'm pretty sure there are multiple pieces of wire, it almost reads like it's one continuous stroke. But from this angle, you can tell what it is. From this, it is almost impossible to see what it is. And I like having those two different kinds of views. And I love the fact that this is completely self sustaining. You set it down and the teapot is suspended in air. So I just really enjoy the energy of this. And the shape of the teacup is made because the person used the wire to trace, except for the handle, the person used the wire to trace where the liquid is on the surface of the teacup instead of drawing the teacup with the wire. You see what I'm saying? You see the tea splashing out rather than the teacup directly, except for the little handle. So who would
That's
like to talk
really,
about
oh,
what's that?
I was gonna say that's a really interesting thing that you just pointed out because I didn't look at it that way, but now I totally see what you're saying.
And can you see the dripping tea in those loops of wire coming down? I
Yeah.
think that's fun. And you can see like the splashing down right here of the stream onto that. And I love the fact that the teacup is I mean the tea kettle is hollow, and you see that it's all hollow until the point where the tea actually leaves it, and then it becomes a lot more distinct. That is really fun for me to see. Who would like to talk more about this one?
This kind of reminds me of like um Beauty and the Beast, and I thought it was like really fun because um you just kind of see that. I also really liked how um also like how the wire coming from the cup to like the stream of tea isn't just like one like singular like line. It's more of like a circular kind of like spiral going down into the cup, which I thought was really fun.
Yeah, yeah. It really draws your attention through what's going on, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, and it just like it really becomes like a connection to like what like it really sets the scene is what I'm
Yeah,
trying to say.
yeah, yeah. I agree. It's another one of these things that rewards the patient observer. You look at it and you notice more detail, and it's I talk about using the wire in different ways. It's a really important part of this. It's in the assignment, it's in the discussion that we had last week. And some people are using the two different kinds of wire to get that done. Some people are doing different ways of attaching the wire to get that done. The way that this person has done it is we have a loose coil for the teapot and tight coil for the handle on the top, the lid of the teapot, and then they're using the wire in one way here for the cup and a distinct way for the puddle of spilled tea right here, and that's really fun for me to see too. So yeah, great observations, Jesse. Excellent. And let's moving forward. Okay, this is the drawing that they did, the scribble drawing. And then this is the wire thing. And I don't know exactly how I feel about this because on the one hand, I really love it. And on the other hand, it creeps me out so totally. And I think the reason is you look at this, there's two very different kinds of wire. It almost looks like there's three. Yeah, there's three because we have the heavy black wire that was in the kit. We have a medium grade silver wire, and then we have a very thin beading wire too. And some of the things that I like about this is that black wire really gives the basis of form. And then the silver wire kind of bellies it out quite a bit. And then the really thin silver wire makes this feel like it's made out of cobwebs. And I think the fact that it's an octopus and it kind of feels cobwebby, those are the things that are unnerving to me. And if there is a student art show focusing on Halloween stuff on campus, whoever did this should go and submit it. I think that that'd be great. But this just feels very satisfying for me. It accomplishes the scribble thing, and it really accomplishes mixing up textures and with the different kinds of wires and the different ways the wire is used. And you can see that the black is used as a scaffolding. The silver is used almost as a cross between scaffolding and skin, and the very thin gauge silver is used to like fill in the gaps. And I think that looks really neat. Can you guys see what I'm seeing on that?
Yeah, I thought the smaller gauged wire, the thinner one, it kind of reminded me of like bubbles, like dried up bubbles.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And so I thought that was like really creative and thought that was like really cool. But I do really see the cobwebs too. Now that you mentioned it.
Well, and this is one of those things that's also creepy and fun. I think it's enjoyable just to look at too. Well, yeah, excellent. Great observations. Okay, going on. This one makes me think very much. I believe that tennis is I believe that tennis is animation because and the reason why I'm thinking that is this reminds me very much of that Disney short from the original Fantasia movie back in the 50s with the magician's assistant, where Mickey Mouse make is having the brooms and mops do his bidding, and I just it's a fun shape. And then when it's brought to wire, it's really enjoyable to me to see, yeah, we have kind of this very simple handle, and we have some fun things going down here, and then we also see different kinds of ways of using the wire. I think that turned out well. It's interesting to me that the mop, the hair in the mop feels like it's more substantial than the hard wood of the handle. And it's fun to me to see we have all these curly cues for the handle, and then the mop, we have these lines that kind of trace where, like the rope or the hair would be. So this could be a mop or a wet brush, something like that. That looks like it's getting ready to walk. What are your guys' thoughts? Anybody who wants to talk about this?
I could talk about it. I missed the first part of what you said because my 2-year-old came in, but he was screaming. But I thought when I first saw this when it came through that like I wasn't sure what it was, but I thought maybe it was from Fantasia. Um, is that what you said? I heard you say a
Yes,
broom.
this reminded me of those walking brooms or
Yes.
mops from the Mickey Mouse Fantasia show.
Okay, that
Yeah.
was exactly what I thought too. And yeah, I thought this one was cool. I thought it was a unique idea, and I like how it's freestanding on its little broom whiskers. I don't know what you call them.
Yeah.
And yeah, I liked how tall it was, and um I like how he wrapped the wire around down on the bottom, and yeah, I just thought it was an interesting idea and that it turned out pretty good.
Yeah, it is interesting how this is a very different way of using the wire right through here. And the handle is a very different way of using the wire. And that the mop area or the brush hair, it's a very different way. That's really fascinating to me that each area is very different on how the wire was used. The only critique that I would make on this is again the photo kind of thing. And something this big is going to be difficult to take a photo of. And if you're doing something like this, if you can get to the photo lab on campus, it's just in the sculpture lab. Do you guys know which room I'm talking about?
Yeah, I actually have a question when you mentioned that. I have a drawing class that's just right around the corner from the sculpture lab. So can we just go in there whenever and
Yes,
go take a picture?
almost. The caveat is if there is a class in session, you must ask permission of the teacher, and if the teacher says no, you have to respect it.
Yeah,
So
okay, of course. Okay.
yeah, and that's the only thing. We do that for all the classes. It is for the sculpture lab. If you guys can get on campus, you get access to that room as long as you're not disrupting a scheduled class. All right. So does that help? Do all three of you have access to campus?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, good. Because I would recommend if you can get on campus, go ahead and take your stuff there and photograph it. It's a great room. And there's a couple lights that you can plug in and turn on. Just make sure that you only turn them on for the brief time you're photographing, and then turn them off and unplug them because uh, um, they overheat. I mean, they will get super hot. So, just be careful of that. And if you do have your own ring lights or whatever, you can bring those and light it yourself. Doesn't matter. But the reason I recommend that is that it does have a really good infinity screen to use, for you guys doing that. But yeah, so this is the sculptures that I'm seeing are just turning out really good. And I'm very happy to see this. Okay, we saw the mermaid last time. I love the fact that this is the mermaid photographed on blue cloth. That's great. I still think that this would look spectacular with that tail turned 90 degrees so that the mermaid is resting on the tail and standing under its own power. I think that would turn out really good. Who wants to comment on this?
I can comment on it.
All right, great.
I think it's really cute. I really like the hair, like the shape of the curly hair, and just the extra winding around the tail and like the bra area. I don't know. I just think those little details are like make it more fun.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it does make it more fun. It makes it more fun as a viewer. Just because, like you said, there's more detail here, and it's not just detail, there's texture going on and just fun things to look at. So yeah, very good, great observation. This one really bothers me. I have I am a total arachnophobic, and so this one it bothers me. But it also makes me think of Louise Borgia too, who made a lot of spiders, and she made them because she thought that they were a beautiful symbol of loving motherhood. Like, okay, lady, have it your way. Some of the things I really like about this is another one where the person, each different area, they treat the wire differently. Like the legs are really simple. The abdomen has more of this traced balloon kind of feel with the thinner wire going over it. And then as you get to the head and the mandibles and the thorax, this all feels very, very different to the other parts. So I think that this turned out really well. Who wants to comment on this?
I will. Um,
Okay, go for it.
yeah, I love this one, and I am like, I hate insects and spiders, but I thought this one was like a beetle, is what I thought of, but like one you'd see in the desert. But I loved how it's so dense in the head, like almost solid black, even, but you can still see like the scribbliness of it, and how it kind of gets thinner as it goes farther back, but you can still see like the roundness and the shape. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think it makes the eye follow through it from the head out to the butt and then through the legs.
Yeah, it's really well designed. And I agree with you. It looks like it's specifically designed to get your eye to kind of enjoy following the path around it. So yeah, very good. Jassiel, you want to talk about it?
If I knew you were an arachnophobic, I would have never done it. But y- yes, I mostly just wanted to I made the legs like extra long because I'm also kind of scared of spiders, and what scares me the most are their legs. So it's kind of like putting your fears into a work, I guess. But it was really fun to make, and yeah, I was really trying to make the body like have a round shape to it, so it was hard to work with the wire, but I think I did my best, so that's how it turned out.
Well, and it is fun again to see those different kinds of use of texture with the wire. So I think it turned out really well. Okay. So it's fun that you did that specifically to address your fears. Now this one, this is looks to me like it's a shark with these remoras right here. And I think I like how this is forming. I think that this is looking really good. Some things that I would like to see on this one is like we talked about with some of the thinner wire, maybe doing like we have the body of this main fish is all really looped. It would be kind of fun to see a thin wire on this done back and forth to give this a little bit of a different texture and feel to it. I think that would be kind of neat. And it might also be kind of neat to do something where it feels like the person is using just more than a singular texture in the wire. But I think they show a real confidence in building this kind of form. And it's an interesting counterpoint to have these remora shapes hanging on, stuck onto these lateral fins coming from this uh, this other shark or this shark. Who wants to talk about this one? I think the photo is really nicely done too.
I can talk about it.
Okay, great.
I really like the framework and just the whole wrapping, like the way that the framework is done is just so neatly planned, it feels like. Um, and almost like the head almost reminds me of one of those old kind of, I don't know if this is going to make any sense, but like an old light bulb cage. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do.
It
Like
kind of
my dad had
feels
one
like,
of those in the garage. Yeah.
yeah, it's like it feels like that, like really well planned out in the way that it's made. I don't know. But anyways, I really like it. I think they did a good job.
Yeah, it does feel very planned. And that's maybe that's why I'm wondering, something else going on here, something like that. You do get a feel for the scribbliness through here as different planes are intersecting at different angles, but it does feel very planned out. And I like that comparison to the old light bulb cage. Yeah, nice. I One of the things I liked about this is something you guys do not know about me. My grandpa, one of my grandpas was a machinist for the Manhattan Project, and he got fired for getting drunk on the job. But his hobby was he would go to different like polka contests and bars and stuff like that, look at somebody's instrument, then he'd go home and machine the parts and make it himself. And we have guitars, mandolins, and banjos in the family that he made by holding somebody else's instrument and remembering how it was made and then building it with parts he machined. So tuning them is really odd because you have to find really weird strings because he didn't know how far the frets were apart from each other. But it is kind of neat to have my brother has one of the banjos that he made and taught himself how to play the banjo because grandpa did it. But and so this one has a lot of memories associated for me. I like how this is made. It reminds me of those uh, deck shoes that we saw in the student examples for the assignment, in that a lot of the structure doubles as uh, elements of almost visual texture. So you have like the guitar is made like those deck shoes, where you have the what can I say? Like the rim going at right angles to the front and the back, and the neck is shaped differently. And I like how this person used different colors of wire for the strings on the guitar too. I think this turned out really fun. Who wants to talk about this?
I could talk about it.
All right, go for it.
Yeah, I love this one. My husband plays the guitar. He's a musician, like in his free time. But uh yeah, so this one instantly stood out to me when it came through, and I love how like three-dimensional it is and how like it even has like the right perspective almost like along like the side, like if the guitar was turned a little bit at an angle. Yeah, I just thought it looked like it was something that took a long time, and a lot of thought went into it. I did also love like the silver strings that are on it, and yeah, I just thought it was really cool.
All right, great. Uh, Kim, you want to talk about it at all?
Yeah, I had fun making it. It took a really long time. I don't know. I just was just trying to look at pictures of guitar and make it like that. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. I think if I could change something, I think I would do like the outline parts, like the edges, thicker wire, so that stands out better when there's like pictures from the front. Like I just wish the
Oh yeah,
outline
yeah.
of the front versus the outline of the back of the body of
Like
the
doing
guitar.
like almost
stood
a
out
double
better.
strand right
Yeah,
around there.
like I wish
I
that
think
part stood out better so you could see like how, like I can't find my words. Like you know what I'm trying to say, right?
sure. No, I don't think it needs to be improved on or changed. Some of the things that I really like about it is that it's obviously a guitar. And I love the fact that it feels like a three-dimensional scribble. I love the fact that it's not entirely straight and clean. It feels like it's flopping over a little bit, almost like Klaus Olug's uh, fluffy things where he made like hard objects, but he made them out of pillow material. So they flopped around. I like how it has that kind of organic feel to it, and it feels engaging. It's one of these things where it feels like it has a bit of a sense of humor, and that makes it really enjoyable, I think. And I like the different ways of joining the wire, looping it in some areas, using the silver wire in some, like the silver wire in the areas here where it's coiled around the keys, and right down here, all that kind of stuff is fun. I can tell that it took a long time, but it's also satisfying to see, which is always engaging for me. So great comments and good observations. This is another one. This makes me think of like self-aware children's toys almost. Like a clockwork monkey that you hide in the closet that you are afraid it's going to think for itself or something. This reminds me of like a really very well-fed finch that's kind of sitting down, but it's with the way that the wire is coiled in some areas, it feels just a little sinister. And it's kind of fun because there's a bit of a sense of humor to it, I think. I like how the person used the wire to scribble out so we feel the volume of the body and the head. And then, the legs aren't identical. They're little things going on. Wires coiled here and there make different kind of textures. And this one I think is a lot of fun to see. Who wants to talk about it?
I want to talk about this one. This one I loved so much. Sarah is actually she's in my drawing class also, and I told her about it today how much I loved it. I just felt like the way she did like the forms, it just turned out so well, like the roundness of the head and then the beak like in the upper picture. I thought the beak was so nice and I don't know. I didn't get sinister vibes. I thought it was so cute. She actually told me I could have it, that she would
Well,
bring
that's
it to
really
me.
nice.
I know she's like you can have it. But yeah, right there like the way the beak forms on that angle. I don't know. I just loved like the way she shaped it. I thought she shaped it so well.
It definitely feels very much like a three-dimensional scribble, and
Yeah.
it's well done. All right, great, excellent, thank you. Okay, so here's the drawing, original drawing, and then here is the wire sculpture. And if I don't say anything about the photo, it's because I think it's looking really pretty good. This there is a little bit of shift in shadow in this, and this person could probably pull the bottom of the sheet a little bit away so we don't get that crease, but I think the photo is well done. It is looking pretty good. And I like how it feels to me that this person, yeah, they've started off with the drawing, but it looks like they kind of let it develop into its own thing. And yeah, you have the forearms flopping down a little bit. The legs are a little bit more substantial, but I love how you get the silver wire coiled around to give different textures. You have that nose doing different things. You have the ears feel almost like the Winnie the Pooh cartoon ears. I like how you have different levels of solidity for the coiling, And this is, I think that this is rather enjoyable to look at. And I like how they photographed a side view and a front view. Who would like to talk about this?
I can talk about it.
All right, great.
I really like the side view picture, like how you can see how it's leaning kind of lopsided, because I feel like that's how a stuffed animal would be sitting. Like it just feels like it's in its natural state. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think it's really well done. It feels like a well-loved toy, like a rundown, worn out stuffed animal. And I really like it. I also really like the smaller wire in there. I think that adds a whole other level of interest to it. Yeah.
All right, excellent, great. Yeah, and one thing that I'm noticing too is here it looks like the body is pretty stable and solid. And here you see the back is just a couple horizontal loops. I mean, there isn't a lot of solidity to it. And when you said it just kind of flops like an actual stuffed animal would, I totally get that. It feels the same way emotionally, but with totally different material. Yeah, great. This looks to me like it is an owl or something like that, another bird that's sitting in repose. And I some of the things that I really like about it, again, are the different ways the wire is used. It feels like the body is uh, made like almost a ball, and the head is made like a ball with these ripples around it. I think that's kind of fun. The feet are very straightforward to give it stability. But you go through like the neck area and up above, you have some really interesting things going on. The shadows in the photo are really fascinating. This is one of those where I think for this, the photo is just fine, but I would recommend doing something to get rid of some of these lines for future photos. But this is really interesting to me. It's another one of those where the person started making a recognizable object and then just kind of let the wire do its thing. And that's kind of fun to see as well. Looks very much like a three-dimensional scribble. Who wants to talk about this one?
I can talk about it. I um I like I really like the scribbliness of it. I think how scribbly it is more unique from some of the other ones that we've seen. Um I think like looking in the body of it, I can see like a heart. I don't know if that's intentional.
Right through
Um
here?
yeah, like right there, you can see like a heart, maybe a couple of hearts. I think just because it might not be intentional at all, but just the way, I guess, the uniqueness of their scribbliness, if this makes sense,
Yeah, yeah.
makes a lot of really fun shapes inside of it. And so I find myself looking at all these like separate little shapes that are inside of it. And I also really love the feet. I think they're super cute.
Yeah, and I really like that too. It's another way of rewarding a patient observer, building stuff into it so that there's textures and stuff, and whether or not the person intended it to be a heart, you can still see it. And once you see it, it's not going away. And then you can see, you turn your head a little bit and see something else pop up. I love those elements too. Yeah, I agree. Nicely done. And I really like the attitude of this sketch is satisfying to me. Very the raccoon just does not care what you think about it. It's gonna do its own thing. And I love again how this person, just like with the previous one, it looks to me like they started with something intentional and then just let the wire kind of express itself. And I like that. And I think the photo is really well done right here. This is really good. Right here, this corner is a little bit distracting and would probably have worked out better to pick this thing up and turn it to get a different angle from the camera. But the wire object itself, I love how much is going on, how scribbly this is, because it does feel like it started off as something and it just the person let the wire take on its own life. And the scribbliness is, I love Kim's word for that. The scribbliness is really good. It's satisfying. Who would like to talk about this one?
I'll talk about it.
All right, great.
Okay, yeah. I like the scribbliness too. I like how much it looks like craziness is kind of going on. And then I kept looking, I wasn't sure which side was the head the first time I looked at it. But I thought that was kind of fun too. It made me like look through it and right? I think is the left side the head or is the right side the
I,
head?
I'm thinking this area right here on the right is the tail, just
Okay.
because
Oh, yes, yes.
of that. But I don't know. It feels to me like that is almost less important.
Right. And yeah, I thought it was just fun and you're right. It's just they let it kind of go crazy and I think it turned out cool. I like the legs and holding up its big body and yeah, I thought
Yeah.
it was a fun one.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying what people are doing with this wire sculpture. I think it's great. Thank you very much. All of you guys made great observations and comments. Are you finding that as you are becoming more comfortable with the four tools of artistic critique, are you finding that that is helping you with your own work and other applications as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good, good. Um, do you remember what the four tools of artistic critique are? What's the first one? It starts with a D.
Describe.
Yes, excellent, great. What's the second tool? It starts with an A.
Analysis.
Yes, excellent, great. And Jassiel, what's the third one? It starts with an I.
Interpretation.
Yes, excellent. And then the last one is it successful? The evaluation. And I'm hoping you guys can refamiliarize yourself with these and every week take an opportunity to go back over and look at that. Now, next month, we're just starting in October. In November, everybody will need to have two videos talking about one video for their own work and one video for somebody else's work in the class for this semester, where they spend about 3 to 5 minutes applying those four tools of artistic critique to a specific object that you show. The way you make this video is by showing your screen, just has that object in there. And then uh, you go through the four tools of artistic critique. You ask the questions that are written down in your head and you answer them out loud. And we are also, the discussions right now have been basically like this discussion is just showing your stuff. Next discussion is just showing your stuff. Then after that, you're going to have to start applying those and making comments on other people's work in the class. So keep that in mind, and I'm really hoping that everybody is very mindful of that as we move forward, because it does really help. If you're working on a project, you just don't understand why it doesn't feel right, go apply the 4 tools and it will. If you're looking at something that you think is mildly intriguing, apply the 4 tools and you'll um, you'll engage with it better. And also if you have other jobs outside of art, the 4 tools of artistic critique or Feldman's method of critique that works in any situation. I think I mentioned I've had students who were their jobs were coding, nursing, um, car mechanics, and childcare. All of those things. They discovered that going through that process, describing what the situation is, trying to figure out how the situation was created or is expressing itself, trying to interpret what that means, what that could mean, what are the ramifications, how it got there, and then evaluating, do I need to do anything? What can I do? How can I make it better? Those 4 steps apply to everything. So I'm really hoping by the end of um, the next month, you guys, or the end of this month now, since we are in October, that this will become almost second nature to you. All right. So, and I appreciate you guys. When I asked about it, all of you gave the right answer. Yes, yes, it's great. It's wonderful. It helps. So thank you very much. And that was not planned beforehand for anybody who's a late audience. Okay. I did want to talk about this. This is the next project we're going to be working on. So this Sunday, the quiz is due for this, and I think we're also working on the art review. And I did want to mention that again. I'm going to go back to the modules. The modules should look like that, where there's a short introduction. The background is where we talk about several of the different artists. And this is where we look at videos of the different artists. And that is really important because it shows how different artists, professional artists, are applying the principles. I think this is one of the longest selection of artists. There's 9 in this one. And then we have the quiz, and the quiz is to help you familiarize yourself with the principles. I believe we did talk about some of this already last week. And then the artist review. This is important to remember that the artist review, there's 3 paragraphs. It is important to be looking at those artists that were in the background section. So each module has its own selection of artists, anywhere from 5 to 9 that you're introduced to in the background section. Whenever you do the artist review, this is always drawn from these artists. So the artist review for this module 3 is drawn from the background artist for module 3. So I hope everybody understands that. And there is, some people have expressed a little bit of confusion on the work log also. The work log for each module is only for the work done for this module. So for example, work log for module 7.B, the annotated bibliography or service learning project, should the work log should only be for the couple hours you're spending on this module material. And then structure with the skin, module 3 work log should only be for the work that you're doing in this module. So I hope that makes sense to everybody. Now I do want, with all that being said, I wanted to look at the structure with the skin assignment again and go over this a little bit, point by point. Noah I would like you guys to click on this website address. I believe it's still active. Yes, it is. This person has done a lot of work dealing with these issues of structure and skin. And, just go through, look at some of the examples that are provided here. Just to see, look for how Noah puts things together, how he combines shapes, how he does make little modules that he uses within his work. He doesn't always stick to them. He doesn't use the same module over and over again. But your assignment for this specifically is to make modules. And you need to activate the volume of space around where your object is. So notice that none of the three of these are flat. None of the three of these are in a straight tower. None of them are straight horizontal. All of them have this aspect of winding. So, it's kind of far away here. As you go down to the base, it comes closer, then it goes farther away again. Here, it's closest to us at the base, and then as it turns around and spirals, it goes up and then away. And then you'll notice, I don't know if you can see right here, but these four that are curving away from us, on this fourth module that's curving up right here, they attach this one and slide it forward. So it's not in a continuous spiral going only away from us. It goes away from us up here, comes forward, and goes away from us again. And this one, you'll notice that it kind of flops around. It goes laterally for a bit, then it goes straight up, and it goes back a bit. But none of the three of these are leaning on a surface or standing straight up. They're all activating this volume of space around them. Remember, we looked at the Henry Moore sculpture in the quiz. That is, part of it is coming towards us, part of it is going away. In the quiz, we're also looking at how the three sculptures activate space. They each do it differently. Be in mind, keep that in mind. And then when we talk about delineated forms in the quiz too, a delineated form is anything that is a structure that's made by the implied lines of the sculpture. So in this case, a delineated form is this assumed triangle that is made by these sticks. And in the example given, the opposites attract. You have the delineated forms of both the rings of the ladders as well as the rectangles that are made by the rungs of the ladder. So you have two different ones that are both important to talk about. So as you go through and get your materials, somebody did try to be creative and they used dried seaweed and noodles for this, which was great, unless somebody in the building coughed, because then there was just enough of a burst of air that made the whole thing collapse. So use materials that are going to be sturdy enough that you can carry it around to photograph it. I mentioned popsicle sticks, cards, masking tape, glue stick, spools of string. You can do all that. Um, I wanted to brainstorm a little bit, talk about different kinds of things that you can use as the structure, different kinds of things that you can use to put it together, and different kinds of things that you can use as the skin. Some of the examples that I've seen over the years, I just mentioned noodles and seaweed. I don't recommend those. They're way too floppy. But like here we have these square sticks. We have popsicle sticks here. You can use skewers. I would recommend against pipe cleaners, as they are not very sturdy on their own. I would recommend thinking about, this needs to be able to support its own weight, and it needs to be strong enough that you can carry it somewhere to photograph it. So, think about that too. What other kinds of things could you possibly use for the structure elements, in addition to skewers and popsicle sticks?
I was kind of thinking like leaves would be cool. Like if you could find a good leaf with like the interesting veins inside of it to use as like in place of the paper.
Okay, yeah, that's for the skin. I think that's a great idea. I'm talking specifically right now for the structure itself, for the stick type elements. And I think that what you're talking about leads me right to sticks, using sticks that you could find on the ground. That would be very interesting, using sticks for the structure and then leaves for the skin, like you were saying. That would be really interesting. People have also used one person did plastic knives, and they kind of they actually used their hot glue gun to melt the knives so that they stuck together. and they made the module, the structure with knives, the plastic knives stuck together. That's kind of interesting, kind of unwielding, but interesting nonetheless. One of the most interesting things that I've seen is somebody had a bunch of origami paper. So they folded their origami paper diagonally and then rolled it up on the edge of the fold. And that's how they made their sticks. So all their sticks were wide in the middle and tapering to the ends. And that's what and they glued the origami rolls like that together so that they made these big toothpick type shape sticks. And that's where they built their structure from. Now, excuse me, Kim mentioned using leaves for the skin. What other kinds of things could you use for the skin? This person used cardboard. This person used, it looks like note cards. And this one, maybe note cards. I've also seen people use like that rice paper stuff that you can get it at Hobby Lobby has this translucent paper that you can get, and that can look really interesting. Some of the other things that I've seen that were really fascinating is one person loved crocheting. And for some of the skin areas, like on this one, instead of using paper, they actually crocheted an area. And then somebody else used yarn to kind of weave back and forth. So wrapping it going one direction and then weaving it back and forth going the other way. Another person to make skin used just cut some paper into 1/4 inch strips and did a weaving from that. And when they were all done, they glued the edges really well, trimmed the edges, and then used that as their skin that they applied to the structure. Uh, One of the most interesting ones I remember seeing was, well, two of the most interesting. One was a person used their glue gun and just melted the glue and went back and forth and made this thing that felt kind of like um, a cobweb with the strands of hot glue, and they just overlapped and wove them back and forth, and that was kind of interesting. And then somebody else, they actually used saran wrap and then melted it with a blow dryer, an air dryer. I'm sorry, hair dryer, and then just did a couple layers of that, and that was fascinating. Then somebody else saw that, and they actually used saran wrap, and then they used a marker to color on the saran wrap after it was in place, and then put another layer of saran wrap over that, and that made for a very interesting skin. What, in addition to leaves, what other kind of ideas could you use for the skin?
Maybe like fabric or um what was the other thing I was thinking? Um like tissue paper, a colored tissue paper, maybe.
Yeah, those would both be really interesting. The fabric is a little bit denser than a lot of paper, and the tissue paper, if you use the like the colored tissue paper for presents and stuff like that, maybe putting some of that on and then painting it with Elmer's glue, because when the glue dries, it would make the tissue paper kind of translucent. That would be a really fascinating one too.
Yeah, that's a
But
good idea. Okay.
both of those are great ideas. Yeah, so be thinking, let that burble around in the back of your head as you're putting your materials together and thinking about it. Something else I want to point out, it is really important as you construct this, you're making 4 to 6 simple modules, each about the size of a baseball or a softball. And I would recommend more is always better. And I think I want to change that to 4 to 8. I think 8 would be, in fact, I'll change it right now. So you can have, if you make simpler modules, do more of them. If they're more complicated modules, do less of them. But the minimum should be, well, I'm saying 4. I think it should actually be 5. And I'll tell you why. 5 to 8 of these modules. So they remember they're relatively simple modules, but the reason why I'm saying 5 to 8 is because that gives you enough to make a stable construction so that this can engage the volume of space around it. You're not just making a tower and you're not just laying stuff on the floor. Because you have 3 that you can use for a solid base and then add 2 more to it to make it come up and out a bit. So, and these modules, I say it's about the size of a baseball, maybe like a peach, something like the size of a peach is probably as small as you'd want to go. And looking at this center one, if we look at these sticks, this right here is about 2.5 to 3 inches. All right. We look at here, these are about 3 inches long and maybe 2 inches. So they're not very big. But the thing that is important is we need to make enough of these that we can combine them in different ways so that they activate the volume of space around them. And like I said, if you're going to do 8, make them a little bit more simple. If you're going to do 5, you can make them a little bit more complicated. But by complication, this is about as complicated as I ever want you to go. This is basically just an orange crate kind of thing. So look at, go back to the polyhedra.net website, look at tetrahedrons, octahedrons, and cubes. And that's about as complicated as we want to get. Nothing any more complicated than that. And they don't have to all be the exact same. They don't have to be the exact same size. One of the more interesting ones I saw of somebody doing this was they actually made 5 tetrahedrons, and a tetrahedron is basically a 4-faced pyramid made with all 4 triangles that are stuck together. And they made each of the 5 was a slightly different size. And they made this kind of stacking thing where it looped around and it ended up feeling more like a nautilus shell. And it was really, really fascinating. So think about those kinds of ideas. What module could you make that's stable and relatively simple? Because maybe before even putting it together, make all the modules, figure out how you're going to put the skin on. And once you put the skin on, then see how they kind of coordinate. Now, the worst job that anybody's ever done with this is making it out of Legos. I don't know why they thought that would be a good solution. They did not get a very good grade. Do not make this out of Legos, please. But so use these images as inspiration. If it feels like it's not stable enough to stand by itself, make a couple more modules. 3 for the base, and then a couple more to make it stand up and out. But again, we're not doing a tower and we're not doing a line. We want to activate the volume of space around it. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Do you guys have any questions for me? About this assignment and any of the things we talked about? Now, do among the 3 of you, are all of you guys doing artist research, or are any of you doing the service learning?
I'm doing artist research.
Artist
Okay.
research.
Right.
Yeah, same.
Okay. We have a couple people that are doing the service learning, and one of them is even working on campus, I believe, at the the civic engagement office. I believe I may be wrong about that, but I want to share some of what they do. We're almost out of time for tonight, but I think I mentioned last week one of them is working on a project where they found a need and they're working with a group of young people to make things that they're designing to fulfill that need. And then somebody else has been working very specifically on a different project as well. And give me just a second. I want to pull this up so we can look at what they're doing, and I'll tell you about this because I think it's really fascinating too. But as I'm doing that, as I'm pulling this up, for the people that are doing, all of you guys are doing your annotated bibliography. Do you guys want to guess what the biggest problem what the annotated bibliography was? Anybody want to guess?
Was it MLA format? I don't know.
No, actually, that's a really good guess. Most people are doing that really, really well. And I've had semesters where for the two paragraphs, everybody just did a sentence. That's not a paragraph, that's a sentence. You guys are doing really good at the formatting. You guys are doing really good with the two paragraphs. The most common issue is that people forget an accessed on date phrase, or they switch formats, or it's not alphabetical. Really simple, easy to fix edits. So if you don't have 40 points on that, look and see which one of those silly mistakes is done, because people will get excited. I'm all done. I'm turning it in, and they forget to double check. So if you are looking at it and you know, I've tried to say exactly why it wasn't it's missing the points. If there's any confusion or anything, just get a hold of me. One thing that I've noticed is that some of the AI citation generators don't understand entirely how to alphabetize, so they do it incorrectly. If I'm saying this isn't alphabetical and your AI uh, citation generator said it is, let me know, and I'll tell you why it's not alphabetical. So that is something that is really fascinating to me, that it gets so many things right except for that, which tells me the large language model that's being used, there's a lot of student papers that don't get the alphabetization right. So let's see. I'm going to share my screen again, just really quick, and just share with you what the service learning people are doing. So very, very quickly here. Okay, so this person they have been connecting with people in the community, trying to find out what they need, and their specialty, of course, is visual art. And so what they found out is a lot of the students for this math teacher, this high school math teacher, are very visual learners. And they, believe it or not, some of these math posters for classrooms do cost a lot of money. And so Lauren is working with this math teacher to make specifically, you know, they're designed to be specifically visually engaging uh, posters for for the classroom. I think that's a great idea. And then Shauna is one who is working on um, their blankets and other things for hospice patients. And this is the one that I think is really interesting, that they are coordinating specifically with a youth women's group, and they're designing and making and sewing blankets and different things like this for the hospice center. And I think that both of those sound really like very cool things. My dad was a patient of hospice, and they are. It's very difficult for me to come up with any group of people that's more thoughtful, considerate, and nice than the hospice folks. So I think both of those are really great projects that people are doing. So do you guys have any last questions or observations about any of the stuff that we've touched on tonight?
Not for me, no.
Okay,
Yeah, I
good.
think I'm good.
Okay. How about you, Jassiel?
Yeah, I think I'm good. Thank you.
All right, excellent, great. Well, thank you very much for being part of this evening. And I can't tell you guys how helpful it is to me to have living human beings to talk to when I'm giving a lecture. That you guys made my day. Thank you very much. If anybody watching this, if you are confused about the stuff that I'm saying in the comments, or you're confused about assignments, reach out to me. And we can either email back and forth, or we can meet on Zoom or Teams or anything like that, or FaceTime, because my objective is to help you succeed. It is not to make you confused. So please reach out to me and let me know if you do have questions or about the grading or about assignments or anything like that. And then whatever we come up with to help you understand better, I will take to the next meeting that we have so that the whole class can benefit from it. All right. Well, thank you guys. Have a great week and weekend, and I will see you next Wednesday.
Thank you. You
Thank
too.
you. Good night.
Good night.